7:30 on the dot. Now this morning, more COVID-19 vaccines are rolling into the inland Northwest. We'll tell you when and where to sign up for a shot.
Plus, we're also taking a closer look at just how many people have been vaccinated against the coronavirus. We'll show you how the inland Northwest compares to other states across the country by the numbers.
All right, now pregnant and breastfeeding mothers are excluded from coronavirus vaccine trials. But an Oregon couple had an interesting idea that turned into a first-of-its-kind study.
What if you brought my milk into the lab and tested it for antibodies?
We'll tell you what they found and what they're doing about it now.
And of course, we're taking you outside talking record high temperatures today for parts of the inland Northwest. Believe it or not, we're set to soar.
Up with KREM begins now.
Speaking of being set to soar, Bloomsday training just got a whole lot easier as Providence Health and Kaiser Permanente are teaming up to bring you virtual Bloomsday training clinics. Now, beginning on March 12th, those virtual training sessions will take place on the Providence Facebook page every Friday for 7 weeks. It is free and open to anyone, but it's encouraged that you sign up in advance on Providence website. Now, I think this is a great way because sometimes, guys, it feels tough to be like sitting on your couch and be like, I'm going to run this race. I got to prepare for it. Wait, what? But this step-by-step process makes it a little easier, wouldn't you say, Jen?
Yeah, sure, especially since, gyms have been open and closed over the past year or so, and the weather's been really cold outside. So maybe get you up and moving, especially as the weather gets nicer.
Yeah, have you guys been training at all for Bloomsday?
Not for Bloomsday, but
okay.
in general.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I like to hear it. It's right around the corner.
Well, how about you, Jeremy? Have you been training for? Is this the weather to do it?
This is the weather to do it. Let's get you outside, and I'm going to avoid the question. All right, early on this morning, we've got a little bit of cloud cover, and it's not warming up as fast as it has been the past couple of days. Here in town, we do sit comfortably in the mid-30s, and that's just part of it. Here we go, across the inland Northwest. It's that cloud cover that kept us mild overnight, so we are about where we've been at this time each and every morning, but it doesn't feel quite as warm because we don't have that direct sun shining down. In the next couple of hours, though, we'll see wind pick up across much of the inland Northwest, and that is really going to kick things off. That's going to get rid of some of our cloud cover, then expect a mix of clouds and sun to take us through the day, and then temperatures to really rise. That southerly advection, that push of warm air from the south, is going to play a big role in what we see. Some of the moisture does seep up and over the Cascades, but I don't think it makes it to us here in Spokane just because of the nature of the day ahead. So for us, it kind of stays in the central portion of the state. The inland Northwest warms to levels we haven't seen since back in the beginning of November. Last time we were this warm, there we go, was November 4th. Later on today, we're shooting for the low 60s. 61 degrees would tie a record high temperature set all the way back in 1905.
Wow, okay. Well, I'm going to hold you to that today, Jeremy. I'd like us to break a record today.
Me too.
Yeah.
Nice. Why not?
It's been a minute. All right, 7:33 now. Well, this morning, the National Guard is set to guard the U.S. Capitol for the next 2 months. This follows a request from the Capitol Police.
Law enforcement do say threats against U.S. lawmakers continue to spike.
In the first 2 months of 2021, there has been over a 93% increase in the threats to members compared to the same period last year.
Now, law enforcement officials are asking state and local authorities to report any suspicious activity related to domestic violent extremism, as the threat to the Capitol and the U.S. lawmakers do extend beyond just today.
The FBI and Department of Homeland Security released a bulletin. It says potential violence is most likely to be committed by lone offenders, though it may be small groups with easy-to-acquire weapons. Well, here are 3 things to know about coronavirus here closer to home. First, teachers in Spokane are encouraged to get their vaccine at the Gonzaga clinic. The next clinic is set for tomorrow on campus. District leaders say 900 staffers will be vaccinated by the end of this week. And appointments are full this morning for the new Providence Health Services vaccine clinics. However, there could be more appointments available soon. Clinics are only open to patients who are eligible for the vaccine, and they're scheduled for today and Monday. Third, Washington State is using new technology to track coronavirus variants. The goal is to test 5% of the positive coronavirus tests moving forward. Experts can track new, deadlier, or more contagious strains of the virus, and they say it will help experts prevent community spread. Right now, they identified at least 2 new variants in Washington.
Basically, it's a race against time right now. The more we vaccinate, the faster we vaccinate, we would be in a better position this summer. And of course, before we enter winter, and we expect in winter a rise in cases simply because this virus is seasonal.
Experts say vaccines may not protect against the new variants. They add COVID-19 survivors could still catch one of the new variants.
Well, with the news of a third vaccine set to arrive in the United States this month, it is time for us to take a look at our progress in vaccinations here in the Northwest. So in terms of how many vaccines have been sent to each state, Washington comes in at 13th overall across the country with more than 2.57 million vaccines received overall. Idaho comes in at 40th in the country with just over 546,000 doses received. But both of these numbers actually make sense when we compare them to the populations and the COVID numbers that are seen in both states. So the more important question is, how are both states doing in terms of administering the doses of the vaccine that they have? For that, let's take a look at this map, which shows each state and the percentage of the adult population that's gotten at least one shot of the vaccine. You can see both Washington and Idaho, along with all of the Pacific Northwest states, sitting in the middle of the pack here this morning, both states representing about 20% of people 18 years and old or older having received at least one shot of the vaccine. Kind of a similar story when we switch over to 2 doses, getting that second dose. Washington, though, doing just a little bit better, ranked number 20 in the country in terms of that percentage. Now, as we look at all these numbers, I do want to point out both Washington and Idaho are doing much better and have made big improvements compared to what we shared with you at this same data about a month ago. Now, let's say you joined us yesterday here on Up with KREM, or even a little earlier this morning when we told you about Washington's goal to give out 45,000 doses of vaccine per day. Well, our latest 7-day average shows we are so close. We're just shy of that goal in Washington at 43,765 per day. By the way, worth remembering, we had that cold snap that came through the country and held off vaccines being delivered to Washington. So the approval of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, along with that winter snap being over, really is going to put us over this mark before the end of March.
Well, an Oregon couple is going viral for their COVID covers.
That was fun to do. I liked getting out my electric.
Up ahead, we get a taste of their music, plus how it's helping them get through the pandemic.
And for Women's History Month, KREM is hosting the Opportunity Washington benefit concert, I'm Every Woman, on the CW22. This morning, we speak with the executive director of the Carl Maxey Center about how the money raised will help the Spokane community.
Believe it or not, our forecast high of 61 degrees today is an old, long-standing record. I'll break down the odds of beating it and how long that record's been sticking around.